What's going on, guys? Welcome to ESO Academy, my new series where I help teach you anything PvP related to make you a better player. If you haven't seen my other videos and want to get better, check out this playlist. So this episode is the ultimate advanced movement guide for PvP. I go in depth on everything you need to know to take your gameplay to the next level. I'll try my best to explain everything as good and as simple as possible without wasting your guys' time. So movement is the single most devastating mistake I see newer players make. If they just sit there, and just spam buttons and not moving. And I hate to be, this isn't meant to be mean or anything, but it's a dead giveaway of you being a noob if you just sit there and just spam skills and don't move your character. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to not be a noob. I'm going to teach you things from the ground up and build on what I teach you. It gets progressively more complex and difficult as the video goes on. But if you guys get confused about anything, drop a comment below and I'll try to explain it in writing, because sometimes I may leave something out. I'm not going to explain something in good enough detail, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know. So my goal for this video is to explain everything about movement in PvP, from kiting and line of sighting to tips and tricks I have learned over the years, and to just basic buffs and skills from the game you need to utilize to help you kite and line of sight. So we're going to start off with kiting and line of sighting. So kiting and line of sighting are a little different. If you guys ever played Call of Duty Zombies and you're running around, the beams and, putting the zombies in like a horde behind you and, basically follow the leader type thing. Well, that's similar. That's what kiting is. So, I aggro these ads. Obviously, I know they're ads. They're not players. But if I, have movement speed bonus and I run in circles around them and basically keeping them in striking distance, but not close enough to be able to hit me. And I can just run around in circles like this and, they really won't hit me at all. So this is, how you kite per se. You can do this with players. Obviously, they'll take a shortcut, but so that's really what kiting is. It's not hard. It's just a trying to get all the definitions out of the way. So line of sighting is a little bit different. So line of sight is obviously having, direct vision, so where you can cast skills. So say for instance, this is an enemy player right here, and I'm standing on this side of the rock. So this is breaking line of sight. So they can't hit me with any skills whatsoever. That's basically the definition of line of sight. Basically, if you can see them, then they're in your line of sight, but if you can't see them, they're not in your line of sight, so you obviously can't deal damage to them if you can't see them. So why do you kite and line of sight? So obviously they're a little bit different, but they can be lumped together, now that you know the difference. But just like I was explaining earlier, if they can't see you, they can't hit you. So say for instance that there's that player there and I'm on this side. If they can't see me, they can't hit me. So kiting and line of sighting is the single highest damage reduction in the game, because obviously if you're not taking damage from people, you don't have to heal yourself. So it doesn't matter if you're like basically a one-shot glass cannon build. If they aren't hitting you, then it's going to be very, very hard for them to kill you. So honestly, it's just by moving. It's not even, you don't have to run a set, to get super tanky. You don't have to do this. You could run a semi-squishy build, and use line of sighting to really make it a lot beefier and tankier, just based on your experience of the game. Honestly, just as time goes on, you'll definitely get better with it. So also another reason why you line of sight is sometimes whenever you're fighting somebody and you're running around a tree, if they hit skills and you're over here, right, and you're standing here and they're right here, so they're pretty close to you, and they charge up a dizzy swing. If you get around this other side of the tree, their dizzy swing is not going to land. It's going to cancel. So skills don't work often enough in PvP anyways, but if you can kite around a tree, then you can make it very, very difficult for their skills to go off. Even if they are right on you, oftentimes it doesn't go off. So that really helps you obviously be more tanky, because if you're not taking damage, you don't have to heal yourself. And if you don't have to heal yourself, then you can focus on damage and, counter burst. Also, it lulls your opponent to sleep. So, say you're running around this tree or running around anything really. Like, say for instance, you're cutting a line of sighting up here or around this, and you have some, distance between you. And then running around and, making them chase you will lull your opponent to sleep. And this can give you some good counter bursts whenever they come around. they drop their buffs and whatnot, and you burst them. So how do you kite in line of sight? It's very simple, honestly, but it honestly depends on a few other factors. So without getting anything too complicated, just the basics first. So line of sighting is running around an object, right? Running around a rock, running around a tree. It's basically a mentality. So if I'm fighting right now and I'm in this open field, right? So there's really nothing other than that rock and maybe this tree right here, but it's not even good. So there are a few things I would think about. Obviously, no, this isn't a Cyrodiil, but there are plenty of examples of Cyrodiil that have this. So there is nothing around. Say there's a Zerg coming down this way. So immediately, without hesitation, I'm not gonna go charge these guys. I'm not gonna think about, oh, I'm a freaking god, I can go fight these guys. Exactly what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit my buffs and I'm gonna streak and get over here to this rock, because if I don't, I'm just gonna get steamrolled anyways. This gives me the most potential to stay alive out of anything around here. And I will get on this side of the rock to see where they go. So if they go this way, come around this rock this way, I'm gonna go around this way, right? And see who is gonna pull, who is gonna come at you. You could even peel back a little bit more. Once you get to cover, you can peel back and go to like something like this now, where you can jump around this, heal up, and then wait for them to pull up. So basically, whenever you're fighting, you need to look for your environment, see what you have to work with, see what you can use, because if you don't and you just go charging in here, you're gonna be like, oh, why'd I die, bro? They're gonna be down. Typically what a newer player is gonna do is they're gonna run in a straight line, okay, and they're gonna run this way. Completely ignore what line of sight they do have and just run, right? Which is, given the situation, it just depends. So you want to be unpredictable. So you want to, kind of, especially with, skills that give you snare removal. I'm going to go into those here in a second. But, using skills like, hardcore cutting like this, and then come back. Keep basically being annoying and so hard to hit is kind of underrated. And if you just keep going back and forth, I know this may make people dizzy or whatever, but this is legit the best way to avoid damage, is because if you come this way, go that way, go this way, go that way, and then you go back all the way around here, they don't really know where you're gonna go, and that can really make them very annoyed, and then that's gonna lull them to sleep. So basically you're using your movement to actually deal damage, because they're just gonna be like, dude, I can't kill this guy, and then before they know it, you burst them with a Dawnbreaker and they're dead and they're hitting the revive button. So that is honestly, how you kite. It's basically just going to take you experience how to do it effectively and on what class you play, because it's all different on all classes. Stamina classes are far better at kiting than magic, just because they use stamina as their main resource, so they can, dodge roll and get to places where they can line of sight. They have more stamina sustain, so they don't really get screwed over by having to CC break and dodge roll. They have plenty of sustain, but stamina classes are definitely better, in my opinion, for kiting and line of sighting. So there are a few things to help you with kiting and line of sighting. So there's things like, for example, on Stamsork alone, so I have access to Minor Expedition, giving me 15% movement speed. There's also things like the Wild Hunt. I believe I have one on. Yeah. So there's also like items like the Mythics that increase your movement speed by 15%, which is basically Minor Expedition, but the thing is, it's not a minor buff, it's always on, so it will increase your movement speed in combat and by 15%. There's also the Swift trait, as you can see here, that would help you with movement. Also you have Major Expedition. Now there's several, so Elude, the other morph of Shuffle, gives Major Expedition whenever you get hit by an area of effect attack. There's also, you have like the bow passive, that gives you hasty retreat. Whenever you dodge roll, you get Major Expedition for 4 seconds. There's also other skills like birds, or the bird of prey on like Warden. There's several skills that give you Major Expedition. But the next most important thing is snare removals. So in order to understand what snare removals are, you have to know what a snare is. So snares are anything that hinder your movement speed. It could be anything ranging from immobilizations like talons and end case to like snares that reduce your movement speed. So a snare and a stun are very different, so please don't get those confused. A snare is not causing you to have to break free. A stun does, but sometimes you have to, in order to get out of a snare, you have to dodge roll or use a skill like you know, shuffle or something to get out of it. But I'll show you guys. So there's different examples of snares, I guess you could say. So this is like immobilization. So as you can see, these guys are like running at me. See, he's running at me, and then he stops and can't move, right? So that's what you call a immobilization snare. Those are the most annoying because they legit stop you from moving, and you can't jump, you can't do anything with it. So that's what a immobilization is. So there's other skills like all right, so like this right here. So this is called a snare. This is different than an immobilization because this, what is hitting me? Go somewhere, ad. Okay. So caltrops is a snare. This isn't an immobilization because this doesn't freeze you in place. This just hinders your movement speed and slows you down. If you stacked like, you know, immobilizations and snares together, it's honestly pretty toxic. So so basically what this does is, you know, there's other skills that, you know, snare you that are, you know, a little bit easier to explain, but this is the one I have on this class. So as you'll see, I'm gonna aggro this, you know, this Welma thing. So everybody's running typical speed, and you'll see under their feet, you see that it almost looks similar to CC immunity. See how the things are going around him, but then he gets the big wind. That's called obviously a stun, but a snare is the small little wind under their feet, and it slows them down, so they're moving a lot slower, as you can see. And then once they get out of it, they're gonna move a lot faster. So that's the difference between snares and immobilizations. So the other morph of this of elude is called shuffle. So if you run shuffle, you do have to be in medium armor to run this. But what this does is it makes it to where you whenever you hit this skill, you gain immunity to snares. I think it's 1 second per piece, so if you have 5 medium, that's gonna be 5 seconds of snare immunity, which does help when kiting. But the skill does cost a lot, so I don't really like shuffle too much on Sam Sork specifically, but on other classes I think it's honestly a must. There is also utility skills like streak and shade for Magblade. So streak or ball of lightning, because magic Sorks would use, you know, streak, and, you know, Sam Sorks would use ball of lightning, at least in my opinion. Basically what this does is, so after I use this skill for 2 seconds, I gain immunity to snares and immobilizations. So I have the Major Expedition, Minor Expedition, and Streak, which really helps you be able to move around on this class. And it's using magic, you know, for Streak obviously is magic, so I can, you know, use that to make myself stay alive longer and, you know, kind of get out and make distance, you know, a quick way to make distance from you and your enemies. So that's some utility skills that really help with your maneuverability. Oh, also strategic skill, accelerate. So this one is more for race against time. It basically gives you 2 seconds of snare immunity at max level. It's the best thing that magic classes have to snare removals. It's not great, but it does help some. It gives you major expedition, and it does help you move, but it is annoying. Basically having to bar swap and hit that every 2 seconds, when a stamina class can, you know, dodge roll and then, you know, streak or whatever and, you know, make distance. But that is an annoying aspect of playing magic. Some classes like, you know, Sork, I don't think would ever really run that, because, you know, they have streak and they can, you know, spam it a few times. But classes like Magic DK, Magic Necromancer, you know, basically all the other magic classes would need to utilize race against time to, you know, kind of stay alive. So there's also, you know, racial passives like Wood Elf gives you, I think, 10% movement speed after you dodge roll, and then Orc gives you, I think, 10% movement speed while sprinting. So if I'm, you know, I'm a Nord on this class, but orcs get, you know, 10% movement speed from sprinting. So which does help, but I think the Wood Elf's movement is a little bit better because, you know, you dodge roll and then can get that movement speed, which is really nice to pair up with a bow. But that's, you know, the racial passives that give, you know, speed. Also, as you'll see, a lot of PvE people complain about the movement of PvP players. So you could tell a PvP player apart in PvE and, you know, doing trials and whatnot. That's how we move. Because we strafe, we jump, and all that does is it translates from PvP, and it's just, you know, a habit at that point. And so it's used in PvP because if you're jumping around, you're hard to hit, and if you're hard to hit, then you're taking less damage. So if you're jumping around using your environment, strafing is another big thing, especially when you get major expedition, and you can, you know, strafe, you know, left to right like this, and, you know, kite around, you know, a tree, and, you know, make it very difficult for people to hit you. But PvE people really harpers about that, and they just don't understand, because they expect you to just do this. They expect you to sit still and do this, right? This doesn't work in PvP at all. If you were to spam skills like that in PvP and not move, you will die in 10 seconds, no matter if you're 150k health necromancer tank. Maybe it might take a little bit longer than 10 seconds, but that's a dead giveaway and a dead no-no, especially in PvP. Alright, so now that we got all of the explaining stuff out of the way, I'm actually going to show you guys some clips and kind of what's going through my head. So this is my current Magplar build that I have right now. If you guys want to check out the build video, here it is. But so what's going through my head right now is, you know, I got 6 blues on me and I'm trying to, you know, kill some of them, trying to kite, trying to, you know, find a burst window. They're not really pressuring me too much, so that's why I go for the burst there. But then I got to turtle up a little bit and then go full kite mode. The skill that's really helping me, you know, kite around is Race Against Time. It's giving me the 2 seconds of snare immunity in the major expedition. I keep hitting it because, you know, getting snared and getting immobilized is going to be the worst thing that can happen to me, you know, fighting outnumbered or fighting in a 1vx. So getting pressured kind of hard, so I'll go back inside, and you'll see me here. I radiant oppression him, and I put myself behind the wall. I do that so I don't get bashed by them, you know, if they know how to bash. They probably don't, but if there was semi, you know, better player, he would have bashed me, but they didn't. So I keep fighting them, and you know, so I've singled these 2 guys out. There's a yellow over there that they're fighting right now. But so I kill this guy here in a second. Now I get to actually focus on damage rather than, you know, full kite mode. So he dodge rolls and then the whole group comes back. So I decided to go back to full kite mode again, and they get the res somehow. I guess he has super insane res speed. But so I keep kiting and line of sighting, and really that's, you know, the biggest thing on mag classes, especially for Magplar. So like how I'm kiting is very similar to how most magic classes would do it, because, you know, they're using Race Against Time. Magplar is probably one of the better classes right now to fight outnumbered. Just having all this, you know, snare removal speed and, you know, decent healing is very hard for them to, you know, lock you down. And if you just keep going inside and outside, making it very difficult for them to hit you, then they're gonna have a lot of problems trying to kill you. So this is an old clip I have on my stamina Warden. So as you can see, there's several yellows, and as soon as I get hit by, you know, a freaking soul assault with, you know, dark flare spam, I'm just gonna go inside. And this little kite point right here is a funnel point, so they have to come inside to hit me. So as you'll see, you know, I'm getting cover, I'm getting line of sight, I'm going inside stuff, and I'm trying to, you know, figure out where I can burst these guys. And I'll come outside and these guys are just standing there. I guess you're trying to res, but eventually if I start taking pressure, I'm gonna go back inside and heal myself up, because they're not gonna come inside because I don't know what they're doing. But so I find a burst opportunity here, and I don't think I get the kill on him, but I'm just getting spammed by just zergling skills, dark flares and whatnot. But I go, you know, I'm getting low on resources, so I, you know, decide to kite pretty hard. I'm putting distance between me and them, you know, going inside and outside, you know, kind of how I was describing. Just always moving and always, you know, being unpredictable. And I find a burst opportunity there and get, I think, 2 kills, 2 or 3 kills. So and I'm using these ads to get my stamina up. These guys aren't really chasing, so I'm kind of assess the situation. They get this guy up and I want to kill him again. the doorman. But this is like in a nutshell on stamina classes. Now it's a little bit different now because you don't use forward momentum. I didn't explain that too much, but it's similar to shuffle, but it gives you, it's the other morph of rally for two-handed. So you know, that's really it for this. You know, this is just like a 1vx after that. But you know, you always want to be moving and kiting and line of sighting. So that's really it for this. Now we're gonna check out another class. So as you can see in this clip on my stamina Templar, this is a very, very old clip. You know, that thing is from like 2016. This is when Wrecking Blow or Dizzy Swing used to actually knock back. But as you can see here, you see me inside this cage, so it's a choke point. They have to come inside the, you know, the part of the cage to deal any damage to me. And typically most of them don't. But this is a very good spot to, this is an arena district in Imperial City. This is a very, very good spot to kite in line of sight. As you can see, there's this cage. So, I mean, it's just very simple. You know, this is, as soon as I start taking damage, you go find line of sight, reduce the damage taken. There's no point in face tanking whenever you're obviously running a more squishy build in medium armor and trying to, you know, kill people. So as soon as I start taking damage, you know, they're snaring me down, they're slowing me. I don't know what's going on with these animations. These things look so weird. Holy smokes, this has been forever ago. But again, I go back into the cage. These guys are like, look clueless. They don't understand what's going on, I guess. But just doing this alone will increase your survivability just a crazy amount. People now are a little bit more aware of this and are a little bit better than they used to be. But you know, this kiting and line of sighting is not that hard. It just takes a lot of practice and, you know, knowledge of the game. It's just a very, very important skill that you need to develop as soon as you can, because the sooner you get better at this, the sooner you can focus on how to go offensive rather than, you know, just trying to soak up all the damage and, you know, try to kill people, and focus on that rather than trying to stay alive. Because sometimes you can, you know, if you get really good at kiting, you can use your environment and you can, you know, burst people very quickly, and, you know, turn and burn is what they call it. And you can, you know, delete people and get rid of them very quickly. But, you know, that's really it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Godzilla.